Welcome, everybody. It is Business Monday. It's April 2nd, but the snow is over. I want to welcome everybody to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center and also thank our friends over at Deepwater Wind for all their sponsorship and their support in making Business Monday happen. Want to welcome Dave Paolo. Dave runs G Media, one of the fastest growing advertising firms. But we're going to talk a little advertising, but really talk about kind of the lessons of business. Dave's been an entrepreneur for really the last 30 years in Rhode Island and seen the biggest heights and the lowest lows. I really like this. We do a series with United Way with emerging kind of stars in Rhode Island, young people, millennials, and my favorite question of it is, what was your biggest failures? And I think people learn so much from other people when they get a peek into that. Everybody goes through different successes and failures, and kind of want to talk to you. You know, 20 years ago, you probably had the hottest company in Rhode Island, Log On America. Talk a little bit about it.
Well, I was young.
How young?
I was 28, and it was during the dot-com boom, and we took the company public. It was a $250 million IPO. It was the 5th best performing IPO in the history of the stock market at the time. So, for a 28-year-old kid to have that much success, it was a crazy time.
Yeah, and it was big news in Rhode Island. I mean, this wasn't just, and it was big news in telco, right? I mean, this was a hot company in telecommunications. This was a time of great change, and baby bells have been broken up. Everything was taking place. The internet was taking off. It was electric, right? I mean, we don't really see periods.
It really
of time
was.
Like
it
that.
was exciting. It exposed me at the time to a lot of major players in the telecom space, major players in the internet space, major players in the investment banking world, and I really kind of forged a really great investment banking education as a result of it.
And how big? Give us some size. How many employees?
We grew to somewhere around 300 plus employees.
And it was in Providence, the majority of
The
them.
majority of them were in Providence, but we did make some acquisitions, so we did have a good base of employees up in Maine and some of the other states, but the majority were right here in downtown Providence.
And listen, I was sitting on the sidelines. I can't remember if I was working for the state at the time or gotten over to RDW, and then as the dot-com one bubble burst, and nothing was like it. I mean, if you lived through it, I was at RDW, I think, at the time. It just literally, it had a hiccup in September. It started in December, and by March or April, the whole gosh darn thing just imploded, and companies were dropping, well-known companies were dropping left and right. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we were positioned a little bit differently. We were a very large company in size, comparably speaking to the region that we're in.
Yeah.
But as a whole, as a size of a company based on listed on the NASDAQ or listed or nationally, we were small. So we weathered through a lot of that.
Yeah.
But we did as young entrepreneurs, we did make mistakes here and there that had I looked at it today, if we'd gone a couple of different routes, we might have been able to weather through that. But you had you took in a lot of money from the banks.
Yeah.
And you were pressured every day by the banks to spend that money by doing certain things. And some of them, might not have been really the logical thing to do as an internet or telecom CEO, but you're getting pushed from a banker that doesn't really have that background.
And they want you to spend because they want you to take on more debt, more money.
They want fees. They want
fees, and they're trying to say, hey, get scale, get faster, get bigger.
I looked at it like this. I came up with an interesting analogy. The investment banks raised you $100 million.
Yeah.
They said, here, hold on to this $100 million until we can find a way to take it all back from you. Really, that's kind of the experience I had from that.
But there's a lot of lessons to be learned. I mean, it's too bad the state of Rhode Island didn't learn those lessons when they did 38 Studios, where they functionally asked 38 Studios. The way that deal was built was hire more people, will give you more money. Well, if you're a early stage, whether it's a company like 38 Studios or GoLocal or Log On America or whatever, you're trying to preserve cash, not spend cash. You want to do things more efficiently. So deals get upside down. They're pushing you to spend, 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 and you should be preserving, preserving, preserving. You walked out of that. When did your tenure with Log On America finish up?
Well, you know, we saw a trend in the marketplace with a portion of our assets and our users, so we began to sell those off, which we did, and then ultimately, you know, we kind of sold off most of the pieces and then wound it down and went on our way.
What year was that?
That was in right around 2002 timeframe.
And you're out the door. The place is, you know, split up, sold off. And what did you do the next day? I mean, what was kind of your mindset after learning that, you know, as fast a pace, 28 to you're in your early 30s, and tell me a little bit about kind of what that experience was.
It's like riding a bike. So you fell off.
Yeah.
And the next, you just get right back up and get back on and start going again.
Were your knees scraped though?
My knees, my elbows, my head. Yeah, sure. But you know, it was an interesting experience, but it wasn't traumatic because you gained so much experience and you had so many contacts that you knew that, you know, you could get up the next day, and even almost while it was kind of unwinding, you were kind of saying in your mind, okay, it's unwinding. You start putting together, you know, your thoughts and your processes on where you're going to go next and how it's going to. And I literally had a new company set up with a new piece of technology that I kind of learned about along the way, and was up and running with a new office in Smithfield within a few weeks.
That's right.
And we filed a registration statement to go public again, but you know, we never really needed to get to that point because that company ended up getting sold.
So the lessons you learned, you know, a deeper appreciation of how to deal with investment bankers. You learned a deeper appreciation of understanding technology and how to protect assets within that scope. Now today, jump forward, you know, 15 years later, you're running G Media. It was only founded 24 months ago.
2015.
2015, so about 3 years ago.
Just about, yeah.
And you've grown it to be, you know, right there with the other kind of Rhode Island big boys in advertising. You've got you know, I think folks have seen your president and COO. You've got a real significant leadership structure in the company, and you've got some significant clients. Talk a little bit about some of your clients.
Well, let me address kind of the leadership thing, because I think that's a really important piece, and one of the things I learned along the way. So, you know, when I was with Log On America, it was you know, I was a young person, young kid trying to run this company, and it was all about, you know, the power. Leading and the money and having control. And a true successful entrepreneur really is an entrepreneur that can really kind of delegate and give away control, and finding the right people to do so. So I did that with G Media. You know, I don't have an extensive advertising agency background. I have a business background and a banking background. So I can.
You would spend a lot of money with advertising agency.
Sure,
absolutely,
absolutely.
Right.
And so I can, you know, I can find the resources to do what we need to do. I could put the deals together to do that. But then ultimately, you know, we needed a pro that in the space. And we went out to some relationships that we had, and there was this girl, Megan Decker, who was the global vice president of Omnicom, largest agency in the world.
Right.
And she had, you know, just had some twins. She had gone through some changes and needed a little bit of a change in the way that she conducted business as well. So there was an opportunity for me to bring her in, to make her the president, make her the COO, and have her run the agency for me. So take all of that burden off me, and also take the potential pitfalls of mistakes that I might make, because, you know, she has that experience. And that's really the key of an entrepreneur, is trying to find those people, delegate those people, and then really having the strict
and trust them.
Right, trust them, but also having the strict ethics to let them do their thing, and not try to overrule them and overrun them. You know, you got to kind of let them do their thing, and that's when you get the success.
Absolutely. MetLife, been a client of yours.
So MetLife has been a client of mine since the very beginning.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you you get. You have a little luck fall upon you. So I had a relationship situation with the outgoing CEO, and introduced me to the new CEO, and that generated for a chance for him to get in for a meeting. We went in, we laid out what kind of value we brought. It just happened to be within the wheelhouse that they were looking for, and we ended up getting a huge contract with them, to a master service agreement with them, so which is great. We're a vendor, approved vendor, so it's easy for us to get business out of them, to do all the experiential marketing for them nationwide. And we have been in some of their largest clients of MetLife on the ground doing experiential marketing for their clients in the country. And it's
Listen,
been great.
hate to disappoint you. You're not the only agency that's been on with us. RDW's been on. I think Duffy and Shanley, a few other folks. You know, you're really seeing this massive shift in how to connect to consumers, and that's, you know, this isn't just you know, in the olden days, you know, it was kind of newspaper and local TV or national TV, and now it's really transformed. It's transformed into experiential marketing that you're doing with Med, a lot of social media, email strategies, a lot of it.
And guys like you who have really pioneered the digital space. So, you know, you have kind of with GoLocal have really kind of been, again, like I have in a lot of things, an early goer in the space. You kind of grew up in the space with it, and you kind of were a leader in a kind of a development of some of the way things operate.
Well, even a blind squirrel gets a nut once in a while.
I know. I've been that blind squirrel quite a many times.
You have enough bad ideas, darn percentages, you're going to come up with one half decent one once in a while. But what you've been able to do is, in a lot of cases, you know, if you go up to Boston, that mid-size agency has decreased. There used to be 50 agencies of 30 to 50 people, and you've really found a structure to be able to tie some different things together and build kind of that kind of old school agency inside, but with a totally different strategy, and tap into the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and one of the things that we used in that process was, you know, having the ability and the trust, again, not only for hiring, you know, internal executives and employees, but also being able to work with other agencies as partners and being able to bring in subcontractors to do some work. So we don't have to pay the cost of having all things for all people inside, which a lot of times is a burden on certain agencies, because, you know, there may not be an abundance amount of work for that particular department at that time, but you're paying for it. So if you have the ability to have some partners that you can bring in to do those things, pay for what you need as a pay-as-you-go scenario, and then, you know, and then when you don't have those bills, that's a great way to kind of preserve cash and help you grow.
And it creates better efficiency for your clients, right?
Sure,
because
100%.
they're not paying for the overhead, they're not paying for the full-time staffers that are 7 deep in every position, because you can really go out and get the best and the brightest to tap into.
Correct.
So, you know, listen, you've gone high, low, you're building another, you know, for folks, this is a small business economy in Rhode Island. I think people, you know, get caught up in the CVSs and the Textrons and the Hasbros. But the vast majority of people, how they earn their income is either they're running a small business or they're working for a small business. If, you know, for the entrepreneurs out there who are thinking about, maybe they have a 20-year-old business and they're trying to figure out how to rejuvenate it, or they're just started off in the last 24 months, what's a couple of the lessons you would suggest to them?
So it depends on what your exit is. So and so in every business that I've always tried to structure, my exit has always been to try to get some sort of liquidity for my shareholders or myself. So it's either a public strategy, which is very difficult, or a sale. So so really, I kind of learned is really kind of you have to almost at the time that you're getting started, you have to kind of figure out where you're going to end as well, which is tricky, and it changes along the way. So you're the day one that you open the business and you say that this is going to be my exit. You know, at halfway point, it may be completely different, but you need to be able to be flexible enough to say, okay, things are changing, and you have to kind of change with it all the time. You can't be just stellar focused on
a couple other things, and I know we've talked about it. Cash is king, right? Yes. If you can retain cash, it gives you tremendous flexibility. Also, we're in a pretty good economy right now, right? This is not the hardest time to attract. There's other times where things kind of spiral. One of the things is be ready, right? I mean, be ready that you can anticipate that the market might change and how things are. And, you know, down markets can be tricky, but down markets are also opportunities. I mean, yes. Nobody makes more money than Berkshire Hathaway in down economies than they do, right? They have a ton of cash on hand, and they go out and they very strategically lend money or make acquisitions during those period of time. So, you know, how does that translate to the young guy who's starting a retail shop or the family that just opened a restaurant? those kind of lessons can also be transferred to those, right?
Sure. So
Don't get overextended first and foremost.
no, and be patient.
Yeah.
Really patient. So there's really a fine line between being patient and waiting for an opportunity to really develop before jumping in too early. So make sure that it's the right one. And then also being deliberate on your decision making.
Yeah.
Make a decision and don't be wishy-washy.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line about patience and then being deliberate on your decision making process.
I'll say one of the things that I've heard is I always say never have a plan B. Right? I talk to young entrepreneurs and they say, well, I'm doing this, I'm gonna spend 18 months on it, but if it doesn't work out, then I'm gonna do this. Well, guarantee it's not gonna work. You're already thinking about the failure, right? And you've got to really approach it like it is survival. This is the Great Depression.
Plan B should always be, what am I going to do with all the money when I sell it at the exit? Really, it has to be Plan B, because that gives you the motivating factor, the drive to get up every day and want to get in there and hustle.
Last thing, for those who, right now, good economy, feeling good about things, give them a couple checklists of things that they should be planning for.
As an entrepreneur in the
as
space.
an entrepreneur.
So
small business owner.
So a small business owner really, in a good economy, you have to kind of try to remain competitive. So in a good economy, you're going to find that there are going to be a lot more competition in your space. So you need to really kind of find that your one niche that you're good at, and get in a competitive edge on it, and then really focus on that one niche. Don't try to be all things to all people. If there are other competitors that have different niches, don't try to jump in and try to take that niche away, because then you spread yourself too thin, find yourself burning through capital to try to do so. Really kind of find your niche, hone in on it, and then really try to find yourself a competitive advantage and a financial advantage at what you're good at.
Dave Paola, CEO, founder of G Media, really want to thank you for coming in, having that honest discussion about all the different things that you go through as an entrepreneur over the years, big successes, big failures, all the fun of it all, and picking yourself up, cleaning yourself off. I really appreciate you coming on Business Monday. We're going to be right back in a second at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. We're going to have Neil Amper, who's over at Capstone Properties. He's been looking at for years data trends and reports relative to how the commercial real estate market functions in Rhode Island, and just came out with a new annual report, and we're going to take a peek into that. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, here at the Navigant Broadcast Center. Want to thank everybody. It's Business Monday. Neil Amper is with us. He's at Paramount. Capstone. See, I've known you so long. You've been you've functionally been at all of them.
That's right.
I'm sorry, yeah, Capstone. And you've been doing for a number of years. I've known about it certainly for 10 years. You can tell us how long. You've been doing an annual report looking at the trends in commercial real estate in Rhode Island, especially Providence. Talk a little bit about how long have you been doing it, first and foremost?
30 years.
30 years you've been doing this report?
30 years, yeah.
And it is kind of the benchmark for this marketplace as to what's the saturation, what are the trends, what are the opportunities, where the pricing is. And it really gives, I think, for us as journalists, a really good insight. Forget what the fluff is out there about really where the opportunities are for the Rhode Island economy to grow and what are some of the challenges. Talk about it from a top line standpoint. Let's talk about Providence.
Well, Providence has had a lot of development lately primarily in the apartments and the hotels.
Right.
We'd like to see more in the way of office buildings and industrial buildings, but you have to start somewhere, and that, of course, provides a nice tax base. The office buildings, the one that stands out is the Wexford deal,
Yeah.
and so they
And they are pounding that building up. The steel's up in, just 2-3 months.
right, and that's they don't have it all filled yet, but that's build it and they will come. And it's the same thing with the power plant. The power plant, a cooperation between Brown and University of Rhode Island and the nurses it's a gorgeous building. And
Yeah.
that's a very successful project also.
Well, and it being right across the street from Brown Medical School, now that it's moved down from College Hill down into the Jewelry District, that's hopefully going to create a little bit of a spark down in that area. Wexford's going up fast and furious. We've written a lot about it. Some big promises. Hopefully, some of them will come to fruition. But that also creates a lot of vacancy. We are right here in the shadow of the Superman building.
Right.
A building that's probably going to cost $100 million to rehab. What's your prediction on that building?
Well, when you look at that building, and you're right, it could be $100 million. I don't think there's any private entity that's going to come in there without some state assistance. The floor plates and the condition of the building is such that without the high rents that you get in Boston,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to redevelop.
If you've been to Boston, especially in the Seaport area or out towards Somerville, downtown Boston, there's no cranes because there's not literally an inch to build on. I mean, every single thing is covered. But when you're down at the Seaport, depending on the day, there could be 20 cranes cranking out, and those rents are $50, $60, $80, $100 a square foot. Your report says, hey, listen, our rents are 18, 20, 24, 30, right?
That's correct. The suburban market is in the $17 to $18 range, and you'll see some in the lower buildings of maybe $15.
Yeah.
Downtown, the Class A building, which would be Citizens Bank, might be $35, $36 a square foot.
Yeah.
And you could not build a building at those numbers and make it work.
Yeah, right. Talk a little bit about, we're downtown, we're in the financial district, and there's vacancies. I
Yes.
mean, there's a lot of vacancies. There's retail frontage. This space that we moved our studios into was vacant for 3 or 4 or 5 years. It was the old Enterprise Rent-A-Car in good Rhode Island terms, where the Almax used to be. Couple doors down, also in this building, there's a vacancy, etc. Why aren't we getting, in this economy, with as robust as it is, why aren't we getting more energy, frenetic energy in the financial district?
Well, it's people.
Yeah.
It's bodies. With the apartments that are downtown, the hope is that the bodies and the people will eventually spur some development and some people coming in. More than one person has said to me, boy, we'd like to have a market downtown.
Yeah, right.
And, there just hasn't, first of all, there isn't the square footage to do it, but second of all, the critical mass of people is
Right.
not here yet. And
Close,
but it's coming.
but it's close.
It's coming. I think there's 4,500 people that live in the downtown area, something in that range.
Superman seems to be absolutely critical to return kind of an economic business vibrancy down here. I had Merrill Brown, and he's on our board. He was the founder of MSNBC and Court TV. We were walking across Kennedy Plaza a couple of years ago. It's about 8:30 in the morning. He had come in the night before. He was staying at the Biltmore. He said, God, I walked around the city. The architecture's just amazing. We're walking across Kennedy Plaza, and he looks at me and goes, where are your people? It's 8:30 in the morning in the downtown, and there literally was virtually no one in downtown Providence. Do we have to get that one big employer to spark it, or do we need to get 10 medium-sized? I mean, listen, you've leased and sold more than one building in your career? How many?
Oh, over 300.
Over 300. And you know, you get a sense of, I mean, you're the organic basic level of economic indicators. I mean, if there's one industry in the state, is the commercial real estate market really knows it better than anything else. What do we need to do to sort of spark this? And is Wexford and 195 more of a death nail over to, or do the two work symbiotically?
No, I think the two of them, you know, work hand in hand. You know, if that becomes successful, then the hope is that other companies will come and say, oh, well, they've been successful, and maybe that one company. I don't see one company taking the whole Superman building.
Yeah, of course not.
I mean, that's 365,000 square
Yeah,
feet.
right.
But maybe it's top floors of a hotel, the next few floors of apartments, and then maybe some
Couple
office
employers,
spaces.
yeah.
You know, so you know maybe it has to be done floor by floor in order to take it to the next step. But again, unless you have somebody coming in that says, "This is what I'm going to do there," I just don't see it at this point.
And are you seeing any trends? Are you seeing, you know, I'm not sure how you measured how many times your phone rings, but is this year busier than last year? Is 17 busier than 17, or is it just a slow improvement in the market?
Well, if you look at 12, 13, and 14,
Yeah.
as opposed to 15, 16, and 17, the last 3 years were better than those previous three.
Right.
Significantly.
Yeah.
And virtually every broker in the state had a very, very good year. And if you look at...
Well, I can know that because they're at Circe earlier and earlier this year on Friday afternoons, which is always an indicator of how good the commercial real estate market is.
That's good or bad. Commercial brokers quit at 2 o'clock on Fridays. That's just the way our industry works.
And by the way, if it's really bad, they start at 11 o'clock on a Friday, right?
That's right. But the first 6 weeks of 2018 were 10% better than 2017.
Yeah.
So it's still good.
Yeah.
But you have a small market. Your demand is not what you get in some of the other metropolitan areas. But there's also low inventory on all phases.
Yeah. And we don't have a lot of space that's vacant right now, especially for manufacturing anywhere in the Providence area. There's virtually nothing, right?
There's not a lot, no.
Yeah.
The vacancy factor is about 8%.
Yeah.
And when I say 8%, there's some buildings that won't be rented.
Yeah.
You know.
Right. And you know, the last couple of questions. From an economic development standpoint from the state, and I'm not looking at you to give a letter grade for this administration to another administration. You've seen them all. Is there anything really intriguing that this administration's done that has helped the process? And is there anything? So that's part one.
Mm-hmm. Well, the difference between this administration and recent past administrations is they have people in Commerce, Rhode Island, that are banging away at the phones.
Yeah.
And each has a particular sector they work on, and they're making some hits. And people,
They get Infosys, right? That was functionally a cold call.
That's right.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
cold calling, and they found companies that are local but maybe have a branch in Cambridge and want to have office space where it's near the train station.
Right.
So yeah, they're trying. I mean, it's hard. It's hard work.
Second part, and then I got one more. Second part is, if you magic wand, you take over Commerce RI, what's the suggestion you'd implement? What's the thing that you'd put on the table that you think would make a difference to help grow the Rhode Island economy?
Well, there's really nothing. There's no magic wand here. What they're doing, I agree with.
We just gave you a magic wand. You're not going to use it? It's like kind of like, you know, you got the magic beans or you got the 3 wishes. You're going to throw away the magic wand.
Well, I'm not the Wizard of Oz. But if you look at what we have to offer, and we have limited resources.
Yeah.
You know, we're giving tax credits and we're giving work credits, and those are what's bringing some of these companies like GE, Johnson and Johnson and Virgin Plus.
Yeah.
These are the companies that are taking advantage of it. Other companies or other states are giving cash.
Yeah.
We just don't have that ability. But they're doing as well as you can expect under the economic.
Last question. You know, we've been tethered to the Boston economy in one way or the other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't, when you've got rents of $80 and $100, why aren't we seeing some companies bust out of Boston and just say, hey, listen, I can drop literally $1 million, $2 million to my bottom line by going to a place like Providence? Is it just we don't have the talent? Is it stigma? Is it, what is it, and how do we fix it?
Well, first of all, I don't think we have necessarily the infrastructure for the office space
Yeah.
that these people want. And when I say that, they look for big floor plates.
Yeah.
You know, maybe 25,000 square feet, and we don't have that kind of facilities down here.
People don't want to be on elevators.
They don't want to be in elevators, and candidly, some of these companies, it's not about the money, as you said. It's access to the talent.
Yeah.
And while we have talent down here, there's just so much more up there, and that's why they're there.
Listen, Neil Amper, you've been the global leader of commercial real estate. You've been at every firm, so I should get a little bit of a pardon of getting the name wrong. And it wasn't like I named a firm that you hadn't been at, so it wasn't horrific, but it was definitely a faux pas on my part. Really want to thank you. It's a great report. If people haven't seen it, I think we have it linked onto our site. It will definitely be in tomorrow's article. It's really insightful. I think it peels back some of the insights into really what the state of Rhode Island's economy is. Thank you so much for coming on, Neil, and we will have you back.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. We're going to be right back in 2 seconds. I want to thank everybody. Hold on right now, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. It is Business Monday here at the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Thank everybody for tuning in. We've had a good morning, afternoon. Dave Paola from G Media, then Neil Amper over at Capstone, and getting some insights into the state of Rhode Island's economy. A little shift, but not much. We head over to the business of nonprofit world, but definitely something tied to the Rhode Island economy. Lee Bellevue's here. Lee is a war-torn veteran of both of the communications industry, and talk a little bit about where you are now.
Well, I'm at Comprehensive Community Action Program. We're one of the largest community action programs in the state of Rhode Island. We provide health services, dental services, major social service programs, job training for youth throughout the state. So we've been around for over 50 years.
It's a big-time organization.
Yeah, we're about 340 employees,
Yeah.
and about a $29 million annual budget.
Yeah, this is not your mom and pop down the street trying to help some folks. And you're doing something new, which was old, which is new again, kind of thing.
Yeah, we're the old Rhode Island Furniture Bank was about to go under, and it was a real good service for people, the working poor, in getting furniture in the community, and they really needed to get their financial house in order. So we went in and did a management agreement with them and have taken it over. So
Had they gone dormant, or just so under the radar?
They were
strain?
about to. The board had voted to take it under, and a board member came to us and asked us to take it over. So we've been doing it now for about a year. We've gone up and down with it, but we're excited now to announce we're moving into a new 10,000-foot facility to be able to sell more furniture and get it out to the public.
And this is a huge issue. It's not just, you know, sometimes it's homeless people finding a home or an apartment. It's also people in distress. It's everybody.
It's the working poor.
It is the working poor, and that's not a small segment of Rhode Island's economy. It's a significant part of Rhode Island's economy. And I think one of the things that they're left with is because they can't go into Cardi's and spend $5,000 on a dining room set. And the only other option is a lot of times are these rental places, which are huge margin, tough agreements. Make a mistake, miss a payment, stretch them along, and you end up paying for, you know, that dining room table that retails at $1,200. You end up paying $4,000 for it.
Everything in our place is marked under $350, and then for people who qualify, it's another 40% off of that price.
That's huge.
So it's really, and I have to say though, Cardi's is one of our major corporate community partners in this, and they give us a lot of the furniture that we have.
That's right.
Scratch and dent stuff, you know, really good quality furniture. So, and then the other thing we're really trying to do right now is get more of the public to donate when they're cleaning out their house, spring cleaning going on. And bringing in new stuff to donate it to us. So.
And I think that's an important part. You know, you see it, you know, we live on the east side, and you see the stuff people are putting out, where if it was a bad economy, they wouldn't put it out, and they might do something else with. But in a good economy, it's just sort of, but that could be donated. Do they get a tax?
They do.
They get
a tax break for it.
Yeah, and that gives you the opportunity. The more inventory, the more opportunity, the more business you can do, and the more you can publicize it to actually sort of feed the beast of getting people to know about it. Talk about the new location. Where is it?
The new location is 100 DuPont Drive, just off Niantic Avenue, Route 4, off Route 6, Exit 4.
Yeah.
Right behind the Rhode Island Food Bank. And it's
Isn't everything over there now? Like literally.
Well, I have to tell you,
is over there.
PBS is over there.
Yeah.
Providence Water is over there now.
Providence Water is over there.
Exactly.
Right.
So I have to tell you,
I kind of feel left out being downtown Providence that we're not over there.
I haven't been down here in a while, so yeah. We have, you know, it was a tough finding a space that we could afford and be able to stock it the way it is. So I got to thank Cardi's because the entire place is full of furniture right now.
Yeah, that's
and as part of our grand opening tomorrow, we're doing the ribbon cutting. We have 30% off of all the recliners in there.
Nice.
So, and I went through the inventory.
Do not sell any recliners to anybody at GoLocal. I do not want to lose that productivity. We do not want people laying back and
they took orders when I was back there.
Yeah,
so.
no, that is not good. And talk about that aspect of it. Is this open for everybody,
It
or
is.
is this really focused on?
You know, it's a social enterprise, so we need to run it like a business.
Yep.
So we need to sell it. We need to cover our overhead, and that's what the problem they were having in before. So yes, there is a piece of it that people can come in off the street and buy whatever is marked on that price, but then there's what we call the Rhode Island Donation Exchange discount program, and those for qualified individuals will get 40% off of that price. So, and that's a major savings.
And after this ribbon cutting tomorrow, how are you going to get the word out on a regular basis? So,
well, it's social media.
Yeah.
It's at our RI Donation Exchange website, our Facebook page. All our new inventory is on there. We take pictures, we price it, we put it up. So that's the best place to be looking at what's going on. And the inventory changes every single day. We do daily pickups at Cardi's.
That's right.
So it's always moving.
Do you have
around.
any of the other retailers participating?
We do. We have.
And if they're not, would you like us to badmouth them?
Yeah.
Just give us a list of the retailers.
Yeah, Bob's. We'd love to get Bob's. We'd love
Bob's
to get,
isn't giving you yet?
Nope. And
hey, Bob's, let's go.
Yeah, we'd love to get them all in there. So, and then we also have CVS. So we have a partnership with CVS. They give us all their excess stuff stuff that they take off the shelves, and we give that out to people. We don't
That's
sell
right.
that. It's a
Like the old Mark Stevens store up in Woonsocket.
Woonsocket, yes, yes.
On Walnut Hill Road or wherever the heck it was.
Yeah, he's no longer around, so we
Yeah,
get it
that's
also. And then, you know, we're really trying to get the word out that it's there. It's moved around a lot, so it's that's been a problem. So we're hoping to stay here and get everybody out there, and we've got all kinds of sales going on for the next 6 to 8 months. So.
That's great. Well, listen, anytime you have a story to tell, let us know, and we'll help you get the word out. Folks, this is a great cause. It's a great need, and it really does help folks who are working poor help recover economically and grow their family and grow their economic stability. So whether you're in that group or you're just looking to support or you just need new furniture, hustle over there and make a difference for Rhode Island. I want to thank you so much for being
Thank you, Josh.
on.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Stay right
Getting our
here.
message out. Yep.
And listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today on Business Monday. Tomorrow, Ava Gaudette on Arts and Entertainment, and then Kate Nagel's got the 4 o'clock hour on News and Politics. I do believe that Jennifer Lawless is back this week from DC. Always the most entertaining part of the week with all the Trumpisms that are going on down in DC. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everything on Business Monday. We're over and out. Thank you.